it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Revesz, who is a friend of ours, and he's an expert of databases and data mining, constrained databases, bioinformatics, and so on. And he has an interesting hobby, linguistic researches. And, I like to, so you can talk about your using data mining algorithm to discover regular sound changing among languages.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Nice to be here back at ELTE. So this project is based on data mining, which is my expertise, but applied to linguistics. Let's go back to the fundamental question about how we can be sure that a language belongs to the Finno-Greek or more generally Uralic language family. So one thing is, well, it somehow fits into the tree, the Uralic language family tree that people, I'm sure, have seen before. In this regard, it's very important to have some kind of sensible chronology. So the time is important. The second criteria is that there are a good number of cognate words. So there's a vocabulary of words, and by cognate words we mean those which have a common origin, they have similar meanings, and they exhibit regular sound changes. So that's very important. And finally, they share some basic grammar. So all the languages in the Uralic family share some grammar. This last one I won't go into much detail. I will focus on the first two, especially the second one. So let's consider the traditional view of the Uralic language family, which starts from the top, the Proto-Uralic language. Somewhere, many places have been proposed, existed about 4000 BC. Then it branched into two main branches, Proto-Finno-Ugric, and yet again it branched into Finno-Permic and Ugric around 1500 BC. And so in the Ugric branch, there's Hungarian and Obugric group. Obugric group is just composed of two languages that are spoken by a few tens of thousands of people today in Siberia. These are the Vogul, Ostiak, or Mansi and Hanti in their own names. Okay? What I would like you to remember here in this tree is particularly the idea that the branching happened 1500 BC. Okay? So this is a traditional view. More recently, some Finno-Ugric linguists have proposed alternatives that extend this timeline. So one example is Juha Janhunen from the University of Helsinki, who has proposed this approximate tree. So the Uralic and Samoyedic branched off around 3000 BC, Finno-Ugric and the Mansic group, which includes Hungarian, branched off from the rest, 2500 BC, and so on and so on. So there's 1,000 years difference between the previous view and this one, right? Okay. Otherwise the tree is not too different. But even more recently, due to a lot of archaeological discoveries recently, including archaeogenetics, the picture has become a little bit more concrete about where the so-called Uralic homeland may have been. This Uralic homeland was really the area where the corded ware people, corded ware culture originated. And it was somewhere in the North Pontic steppe. So today's Ukraine, north of the Black Sea. And this was around 4000 BC. And I show here a table of genetic data. This is ancient remains, and some of them from Estonia. These are all from Estonia, actually, and go back to 4871 before present. So it's really because of some time for the migration north, around 4000 BC, and that's also the archaeological record for the corded ware culture in that area. Okay, these genes are quite frequent. The mitochondrial genes and the Y-DNA are very frequent even today in Estonia. It's really a majority of Estonians have these related genes. Okay, so they have concluded, these people. The references are partially seen at the bottom, not completely. So these people concluded that the corded ware culture brought the Finnic languages, Finnish and Estonian, from the North Pontic area to Estonia and Finland. So they now know very concretely where the homeland was, okay? And it's very different from the Uralic homeland area or Siberian homeland that some earlier researchers proposed. Now from here, migration also went to the east. That's supposed to be Proto-Ugric, Proto-Mordvinic, okay. And here's another map for you illustrating some of these migrations. So starting from the Proto area here, around here, and the Finnic moved north, the Sami went even earlier north, and the other Ugric groups, including the Proto-Ugric, went to the east and a little bit north, okay. And there's a theory of Simo Parpola, another professor at the University of Helsinki, who says that Proto-Sumerian had to exist somewhere here around 4000 BC, and from there they had somehow went south to where we know them from their archaeology and writings, from Mesopotamia, right? So, but this is the theory of common origins, okay? So at least it's imaginable because we have a chronology which fits, okay, and archaeology which also fits. Okay. So this is a possible extension of the Uralic family tree, which would include the Sumerian. Okay, the Ugric branch may be here, and these are the closest relations to Sumerian with the Ob-Ugric branch today, the Ob River, and a western branch of this Ugric group, which includes Hungarian and Proto-Sumerian. Proto-Sumerian, well, because when they went south, they may have evolved a little bit and mixed together with other groups. But the basic, the core of the Sumerian language is very close to the Ugric, as we will see. So, now let me talk about the regular sound changes. What do we mean by that? Okay. This is very well studied phenomenon in Indo-European linguistics as well as Finno-Ugric linguistics, okay? Here are some great examples from the Indo-European languages, okay? And by the way, in each language family, this is considered a very important proof that these languages belong together, okay? So let's take a look at it. This is English, cow, and come, okay? These have equivalents in ancient Greek, bos, bino, and then in Sanskrit, gav, gam, Tocharian, which is an extinct Indo-European language in Inner Asia, ke and kem, and we can add other rows of similar pattern. So what is the pattern? Very obviously, the initial consonant sound changes, okay? So in English, the C letter is just k in pronunciation. Everywhere in Greek is B. So it's very regularly changes from k to B. In Sanskrit is g, and in Tocharian is k again. Very regular. And by the way, in each row they have the same meaning, so it fits all the criteria of cognate words. So this is evidence of some very ancient Proto-Indo-European words which diverged by sound changes which occur everywhere in the languages, but occur in a pattern which is regular, so the same ancient sound, whatever it was, always changes similarly in all of the similar sounding words. Okay, so in Finno-Ugric languages, similar things are found, where we will see some example. For example, an ancient word initial k, followed by back vowel or o, u, has changed in Hungarian to h. A good example is kala, which is fish in Finnish, and hal in Hungarian. Okay, so these are all very, very regular. But before we study whether there is a regularity and what regularities we can find in the ancient words, first we have to collect the words and build a reasonable size dictionary. Okay? So this type of work of trying to build dictionaries of Hungarian, Sumerian, and sometimes other relatives has been going on for over a century, okay? And better and better dictionaries have been collected. And you'll see that one of the dictionaries which is very important recently is this one in my hand. So this is an etymological dictionary of the Sumerian language written by Professor Parpula at the University of Helsinki. And this volume 1 contains around 3,200 Sumerian words and their cognate relatives in all the Finno-Ugric languages, okay? He has very good knowledge of the Finnic languages, pretty good knowledge of Hungarian too, actually, and also puts in all of the Indo-European words that may be related, Turkish, Dravidian, so a lot of work goes into these dictionaries, okay? But still, there's a very huge number of cognates claimed in this book between Sumerian and particularly the Finno-Ugric languages, okay? About 1,400 are cognates with Hungarian, Mansi, and Hanti. Okay. All right, so let's see a few examples, okay? Now, I have been very traditional in my attitude about how to analyze these things, so I picked from the dictionary, which is really a very big dictionary, those few hundred words which are traditionally recognized as Finno-Ugric or even Uralic words. So those are available from etymological dictionaries of Hungarian, and I can give references, okay? So I will indicate by blue those which are considered Uralic words. The blue, this is English column, just to give for those who are not Hungarian, the meaning of the words, and of course most of you have no problem with the second column because Hungarian, and then other Uralic, Finno-Ugric examples. Whenever I find Mansi and Hanti, I will put them there in general. Okay, and then Sumerian, this column. This is the important thing that we will concentrate on. And finally, the number that you see in the last column is just the entry number of the words from this dictionary of Professor Parpola. So that's how it works. So there are many Uralic words, okay, 200-300, a little bit estimated, low estimate, high estimate, around 200-300 Uralic words, okay, and I can give you a few examples. For example, Hungarian fúr means drill in English, is related to Finnish pura and Sumerian buru, and so that's an example, okay. Hungarian fon, which means weave, braid in English, related to pan in Hanti and pon in Sumerian, and so on, okay. This list continues on several pages, okay, so I won't be able to read all the words for you, just a few examples here and there. Then it continues with the green set of words, which is the so-called Finno-Ugric layer. And that is considered to be around 800 words. Again, we can argue that it's a too high estimate or not, okay. Around 800 words I've seen in most etymological dictionary, like the one edited by Professor Revesz and well known. So, giving a few examples there as well. You see in here, sumér-magyar, thirsty. This has Cognate, Sumen in Vatják language, and Ishim in Sumerian. So we will look at this more. Everywhere I highlighted the consonants in red because those have to be paired. The character of the words heavily depend on the consonants, whereas the vowels are less important in these etymological considerations, comparisons, because they can change easier and they are very fast relatively in changing in dialects, okay, as you may know. So that was an example. And finally the last layer, which is the Ugric layer. The Ugric layer, which is supposed to be only three languages: Hungarian, Mansi, and Hanti, okay? And those are, according to the best count that I read, around 153 words. So I went through those 153 words, which are starting in yellow, and again, about half of them have some, at least superficially, some cognate association according to this dictionary, okay? And you see them there, okay? So I give one more example here in this layer 2. So fool, sting, prick, fulank, okay, okay. And then you have a Muncie equivalent, pulp or cognate, and Sumerian bulug, okay. Sometimes the endings are suffixes in the various languages, so they are not comparable, although sometimes they are, also the suffixes are comparable, but the beginning is the most important, so usually the first syllable is very important for us, okay? Many of these are one-syllable words. Anyway. All right, so we collected those words. Now, the second thing was to do an analysis, okay? So, just because this was collected and claimed to be all cognates according to this dictionary, okay, it's not enough. We have to also see this regular sound change pattern which linguists emphasize are needed to be seen. So, to search for these, we have used associative data mining, and it starts by creating a file where we represent the sounds, the consonant sounds that I emphasize, for each pair of languages or words in each pair of languages that we are comparing, okay? And you can do this for every pair, including the Hanti and Muncie, which are quite close, so it gives very nice patterns. Hungarian and Muncie, okay, and Muncie and Hanti closer, everything. These are the traditional ones. So you discover the same rules that basically are known, the K, H change, for example, that I mentioned. But what happens with Hungarian and Sumerian? This is the new thing. So let me give you the thing here. So you have somehow a representation of the consonants, okay? Now the empty is needed, which means no consonant just dropped out or omitted, okay? So sometimes very obviously it had to drop because one word starts with a vowel, the other starts with a consonant. So the consonant may have dropped. So this is why the empty is needed. And then otherwise the sounds that we have here, this represents ch, this represents here for us sh, and you know the rest, I think. This comes from the English notation, okay? You can use other notations, but these can be typed up easier. I will show you the International Phonetic Alphabet notation. Those are not convenient to type in many text files, okay? So anyway, so we represent the first consonant, the initial consonant in the first language, the media consonant in the first language, final consonant in the first language, if there is, okay? We can always put in empty if it doesn't exist. In the second word, similarly, we represent the initial, medial, and final consonant. Focus on those. And each word pair can be described here. So here was a word with only one consonant. It started with a vowel, ended with a vowel, okay, in both cases, but this was a Hungarian word. I think it was atya, and this was oda. So father in English, okay? So there were sometimes these words, and we have represented all of these words that we have found to search now for sound changes, okay? This created a so-called ARFF file, which is needed for many types of data mining. So this is a regular file representation which is used, for example, in the weaker system from University in New Zealand. And we feed in the file, read in the file, and then it finds associations, okay? Now the computer doesn't use the same notations as we would like to see, okay, in more linguistic or high-level notation, but we can read these as well. So these are 10 rules, okay, that were found. We have different sensitivity, okay, so we look for a certain number of support and certain confidence, okay. So this pattern is seen how frequently out of those cases where it occurs, okay. These confidence values we can set, okay, at a minimum level, okay. So these are a little bit hard to read, but I have rephrased actually rules 2, 7, 9, and 10 are all variations of one thing, okay, because it's symmetric, okay. If the Hungarian consonants or pattern implies something for the Sumerian, very often the reverse is also true. It's symmetric, okay. So they can be rewritten for us to see that if the initial consonant in the first word is an F, then the initial consonant in the second word in that pair is a B, okay. So this is the first sound change rule or regular sound change that we can find. Examples from this vocabulary that we have collected, all of them ancient words, include the Hungarian word fall and a corresponding cognate word bar in Sumerian, for in Hungarian and bar in Sumerian, and forog, the verb forog, and then bar in Sumerian, okay. This g is a suffix which doesn't exist in this case, okay. So this is how sound rules are collected using the data mining system, VICA, using association rule data mining, okay. For those who are familiar with this system and association rule data mining, it's not a difficult thing, right? Okay, so it's just a use, maybe a clever use of something that is well known for many people, all right? So it is like that, okay. Now, let me go to the International Phonetic Alphabet, okay? This has been set up so that all the languages in the world can be represented. And they have lots of notations, some of which are not needed for any of the languages that we deal with, okay? The good thing is that many of the notations agree with our Latin-based alphabet. Okay, so P, B, M sounds, it's also in Hungarian, tilde, kg, okay, this is very good, and the rest, okay. I would need to explain this, which is sh, and this, which is j, and here this is j, the Hungarian j sound, and the s, t, is simply representing j. That's a little bit weird for us, but that's okay. That's what we have. Also, in this representation by the International Phonetic Alphabet, the sounds are grouped together. So the first row are all the plosive sounds. A lot of air is let out. The second is the nasal sounds. You know why, okay? The nose is involved a little bit, okay, and so on. These are grouping together, and we can expect these to change easily from each other in these regular sound changes. So these change easily. In each entry, there is usually a voiceless and voiced pair. So if you pronounce it, you can see that the voiced pair is more resonant than the other. Otherwise, your mouth and everything else stays the same. Okay? The vocal cord is just more resonant. T, D, K, G, and so on. Okay? So this notation is often used to describe in more precise way the phonetics. Now, all right, so let me now go to some of the other sound rules that have been discovered. So the word initial S phoneme, what happens with that? It's omitted in Hungarian while it remains in Sumerian, and also it remains in the Finno-Ugric languages. So the word og, just another way of saying old, is related to shonge in the Mori language and shugi in Sumerian. Okay? So Sumerian doesn't drop the S. Orat in Hungarian is related to shir in Syrian and shar in Sumerian, and so on. Air, sora, sur, in, suoni, sa, and finally ur, saper, share. Okay, so this is what is in the vocabulary. Another example is the word initial T. What happens? It usually remains a T. In fact, it always remains very regularly a T if the next consonant is a B, bilabial B, P, V, or a nasal M and N. In these cases, as a few examples show here, this is preserved, the T. Hungarian topos, topte, top. Temet, to, tum. Tövik, te, te. Tő, teng, ten. Okay? However, it changes to D if the next consonant is a liquid. Liquid sounds like an L and an R. An example of these examples are here. Tolal, find. Tola in Mori, and Dul in Sumerian. Note the TD change. Tail, the season that we are in now. Talvi and Dal. Well, yeah, winter basically. Telek, Tarint, Dalbanna, Tol, Tel, Dal. Okay, the feather, and so on. Okay. So apparently the liquid sound has an effect in how we pronounce the initial sound, the liquid coming later, because the mouth is already prepared to say it. So anyway, then the other rule here is the medial sound, or final sound T, changes to T in Hungarian and D in Sumerian. So we had atya, ette, ada. Hatyu, kotang, gudu. Két, or kettő, kit, kod. Okay? Alright, so you got it. Okay. I have another very nice example with the initial P. Initial P phoneme, which is well preserved in most of the Finno-Ugric languages, including Mansi and Hondi. The P regularly changes to F in Hungarian and to B in Sumerian. Okay? It's not kept anywhere in Sumerian and Hungarian, but it changes very regularly. Okay? If the next consonant is a liquid LR, remains P in Sumerian otherwise. Okay? So for, this is interesting, obviously very ancient word, pu in Finnish, and pa in Sumerian. Okay? So in this case the P remained. Okay? Nothing follows the A. It just ends the word. Okay? Fejsze, paste, pashu. Okay. So very nice. So if we take this is a very good evidence, this regular sound change between the Finno-Greek languages and Hungarian from P to F as a proof that these languages belong together in one family, language family, then with the same force we have to take this regular sound change as a proof that Sumerian also belongs equally into this family. But it continues like this. The P can change in the final place to B, Shuped, collapse, Shub, Sep, beautiful, okay, Zeb, Sopik, Sub, Tapos, Tab, all the way to B. Okay? Alright. So now I'm going on, and now comes the K. I mentioned that it's very frequently cited between Hungarian and Finnish. Okay? The change from K to H, very regular, when you have a back vowel following the K. So, Kala, Hol, Kolak, Hollo. Okay, and what happens in Sumerian? Sumerian also tends to be H before the U. Hulu, Hurin. Horzsol, Karsiel, Hur. Huny, Kony, Huna. Okay? So there indeed is a change to H if you have an U, deep vowel U. And as it's well known, when you have a front vowel, then the K remains. Okay? In Hungarian. So cat in Muncie is equivalent or cognate with K's in Hungarian, very basic word. In Sumerian we have kishib. Okay? Kell in Hungarian. Okay? Kell and call. Okay? This is rise. Okay? Or need. Okay? Either way. Könyök, elbow. Könni, kin. Okay, so when you have a front vowel, including an E or an E in here, or an Ö, then the K sound remains, and that is reflected also in Sumerian, very like in Hungarian. Now what happens with the L? L is a liquid phoneme which can change to R quite frequently, especially if you have it word finally, then a few examples follow. Okay? Fall, pal, bar. Fail, pal, bar. Okay, and so on. Okay. By the way, people can ask why this change, okay? And of course, some of the linguists actually work on this to try to figure out why these changes happen, or why they, as a group, have to happen together. I'm not going into that, okay? I'm just noting this based on regular sound change rules found using computer science or data mining in particular, not the explanation which requires something deeper that is interesting, but I don't go into that, okay? If we have a word initial or medial w phoneme, it is developing into a stronger V in Hungarian or an M in Sumerian, if the next consonant is nasal or liquid. So, sövény, so, sun. Val, olka, here is an empty, dropped out, sometimes happens. Murgu in Sumerian. And való, like valóság, okay, that's val and mal, okay. So it's also regular. And the sound y in initially, okay, sometimes word initially or word finally, is an insertion in Hungarian as opposed to other words, cognate words, in either the Finnish or the Sumerian. So, for example, juh in Hungarian is uhi or u, and si is so, and za in Sumerian. Okay? So this is a Hungarian, common Hungarian feature to insert a y to make it easier to pronounce. For Hungarian, it feels easier to pronounce. Okay. All right. So now I go into something a little bit deeper. So once we had these regular sound changes, okay, now we see how it develops, okay? So that was an ancient Finno-Ugric sound. This was sometimes written as a single letter, but it's a combination of n-k or n-g. This developed into ng and g in the Ugric languages. So the k is there, and into the so-called West Ugric languages, a g. Okay? So young glel in Honti, so this is still ng. The West Ugric is only g, and the Hungarian word is ég, meaning burn, and the Sumerian word is ug, meaning light. Another example is sunye, sunke, sung, and becomes a g, sug. And this includes Hungarian zug, a zug, little crack or something, and zeg, bury, hide, which is not exactly the same meaning, but you can see the similar meaning because you bury or hide things in a zug, a little crack or something. Okay. All right. Another example of this type is when the Proto-Finno-Ugric LM pair of consonants develops into a simple M in Ugric and stays M in West Ugric. So here's the example of kudme. It develops into LM. A vowel is inserted here, but the LM is still here, LM, with a vowel insertion. Okay? And this means ash. In West Ugric, this might be a proto-word which joins these things together. Hungarian hamu, ash, and then Sumerian kum, hot, heat, again feels like a cognate word of hamu and ash. and perhaps ancient Greek, konis, which means dust. Dust and ash was similar, okay? All right, and then here we have a table. So linguists like to summarize these things in a table. I have done that, except the table is so large I cannot put it on a single slide. I have put out of 16 rules with subcases, a few examples here. 2, 3 has many subcases, 4, okay, and 5 would be a little bit lower, okay? So, some of these are things I talked about. D and T would be here. Okay. So, for example, the T, this would be the Proto-Finno-Ugric word. This would be Hungarian. This would be Sumerian. From T, the change is possible. Okay, we have covered that one. Okay, let's look now briefly at the grammar. I said I don't go very deep into this. I just give a few examples. One of the surprising thing that can be found even at the word vocabulary level. Okay, so I'm not looking at actually sentence structures and things like that already many authors have considered, many researchers have considered and compared how Sumerian and Hungarian grammar in that sentence level are similar. I'm just looking at words. So this is sipog with a g frequentative suffix. Okay? So sipog happens repeatedly, right? It's not a one-time single instance. And zipa og or ang is breath, and breathing is also happening regularly. Not just take one breath and that's it, okay? Siseg similarly, and sisig also in Sumerian. So the g frequentative suffix seems to be regularly occurring at the end of both Hungarian and Sumerian words. This is some kind of remains of an ancient grammar. The K, which forms adjectives, okay, is also present. Now there's a basic word which means needle, tu, and it has an equivalent dalla, and as you can see the change is very regular, okay? Hungarian word török, which was the original form of the later word of tülök. So the liquid changed from R to L in the middle. But this was the original form in the medieval records from where it first appears, meaning horn. And it is durach ibex. So the k here means some kind of animal, okay, which is like a needle. A horn is like a needle, okay. Of course, later on it can become a noun too. And the ibex is one which has very big horn, almost like a single big needle, okay. So this feels to be there, okay. I don't know whether I had another example. Yes, I have. Mány, mény is a suffix which forms nouns. So you have the verb sző, weave, and sövény can develop from that, where this mény, the v changes, m changes to v. Sövény is a hedging, but this hedging could be the grass, maybe from tall grass, okay, shrub, okay, from which you make also the material of weaving, okay. And shumun in Sumerian also means grass. Okay, one word for that. Okay, shumun. Frequentative R suffix seems to be here present. Seg means a spike or a nail. Okay? And what do we do with a nail or a spike? We hit usually with a hammer. If lucky, one hit is enough, right? Okay, well. With a shugur, which is a spare, it's a bigger form, so it looks a little bit like a similar idea, like a spike, and you poke repeatedly, okay? Hungarian csokor is heard in the original meaning. Today we often use it for a bucket of flour, but according to the etymological dictionary, its original meaning was a herd of animals. Okay? Like a herd of swines, okay? And in Sumerian, shach is just a name for pig. Okay? So you have a frequentative, so many times this occurrence. A herd is formed from individual animal. Okay? Then, okay, I can go into a few more examples, but this is in the paper. Okay? Again, the grammar, we have just a few examples of those suffixes which occur in these words. And interestingly, somehow can be paired in Sumerian and Hungarian, these suffixes too. But deeper analysis of the grammar have been provided by other researchers. I will refer to that, especially the sentence structures and everything. Okay. In conclusion, what can we say? We can say that recent archaeological and archaeogenetical data has shown that the Uralic homeland was at the North Pontic steppe about 4000 BC. From this, you can derive basically the family tree with the northern branch becoming the Finnic branch, the eastern, more Vinic and Ugric, as the map was showing, and perhaps the Sumerian as a southern branch. In the second item, we have shown that there are many cognate words that are already considered basic words belonging to the Proto-Uralic, Proto-Finno-Ugric, Proto-Ugric layers, according to Finno-Ugric linguists. So these are not even adding radically new words. And these exhibit actually a regular sound change, as we have shown by our data mining. And finally, the cognate words preserve some suffixes that indicate some similar grammar, but it can be explored further in other talks and other papers. Okay, beyond the talk for today. Thanks for listening, and thanks. Okay.
Thank you for the interesting presentation, and if you have any question or remarks, you can ask in Hungarian also.
Yes, you can ask Hungarian too. Okay. I just was told that there are some people in the audience who are would be interested in English language. Okay?
I have one question. We presented comparisons or pairs of final and middle and initial consonants or vowels. I don't remember exactly.
Consonants, yes.
So it was not. It was evident how after empty the first letter was not A but B and so on.
The empty is indicating a missing consonant. So there's no word initial consonant. Okay, that's what it meant. Okay, there's a medial consonant, which was in the case of the word atya, and there was no final consonant either. That's why we had to have the empties there. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, so it's clear. Okay, any other questions, comments, please?
What was the reason that you mentioned the Greek language?
Okay.
No, I know some
Okay.
years ago the Indo-European peoples are moving through these areas, and could be this the reason that you mentioned that they may have some kind of
Exactly.
word exchanges between the tribes? Or?
Yes, exactly. So, what's the reason that ancient Greek is mentioned? Well, the reason is that we suspect word borrowings from some Finno-Greek language. And this would be an explanation of why the similarities are there. Those people who have collected the ancient Greek words and wrote etymological dictionary as ancient Greek claim that about 40% of the ancient Greek vocabulary is not Indo-European in origin. And that's a surprising percentage, 40%. So very likely, wherever the Indo-European homeland was, when the ancient Greeks traveled to the present-day Greek homeland, they have met Uralic, Finno-Greek, Ugric people, and perhaps even before them who lived there were speaking such languages. And history records the Minoans and the Pelasg people were, before the Greeks, probably their vocabulary was also adapted or borrowed by ancient Greeks. That's kind of very interesting, okay? But it would require a lot more research, which I'm also interested in. The Minoan language is recorded in several scripts, and these are called Minoan Cretan hieroglyph language, Minoan Linear A. Some translation attempts were done by me, okay, based on Finno-Greek vocabulary found in the ancient Greek, okay. Here's some bibliography that you can take a look at, freely available, downloadable from my webpage if you are interested, okay. So that's kind of the outline of the reason, but it's a little bit beyond today's talk, okay, but mention that, okay. Any other comments? Any other thoughts? Questions?
Thank you again for visiting us.
I also thank you for attending in such a good number and paying attention. Very nice to be here, and good luck to you. If you are interested in this book, please take a look at it. You're welcome to browse, take a look at it. Everybody is welcome.